Okay, what if I told you that people were making ice in the middle of a scorching desert, a full 2,000 years before we even had freezers? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, this incredible piece of ancient engineering, the ice machines of the desert.
I mean, it sounds completely impossible, right? Like something out of a storybook. Just picture it, scooping up fresh ice while you're surrounded by miles and miles of burning hot sand. And remember, we're talking about a time 2 millennia before electricity, before modern refrigeration, before any of the stuff we take for granted. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull it off? Well, the secret lies in ancient Persia. And to really get the genius behind this, you kind of have to put yourself in their shoes. Picture the world they were living in. Just imagine for a second, you're living in the desert, the sun is just beating down, the heat is absolutely relentless, and yet, you can get ice, not as some super rare luxury, but as a regular part of your life. This wasn't a dream, you know? It was a reality for the ancient Persians.
So, how'd they solve this problem? Well, they used a structure that was so simple, yet so incredibly effective, that people now call it the original Persian refrigerator.
It's called a Yakhchal, and that name literally translates to ice pit. And that's pretty much what it was, a giant natural refrigerator built to make and store ice using, well, nothing but the elements around it.
Now, a Yakhchal wasn't just some building. It was a brilliantly designed system. For starters, it had this giant dome shape. The walls, they were incredibly thick, sometimes meters thick, made from a special mortar that acted as a super insulator. And underneath it all was this huge underground space designed to keep that ice frozen solid, not just for days, but for months.
So how did this thing, made of just, sand and clay, manage to defy the insane desert heat? The science behind it is honestly just fascinating. Let's break it down. The design was just pure genius because it had an answer for every single problem the desert could throw at it. You've got intense heat? Bam, they used incredible insulation. You've got hot air getting trapped inside? Nope, they used convection to get it out. And that dry desert wind, they actually harnessed it using the power of evaporation.
Okay, so here's how it all came together, step by step. First, during the cold desert nights, water was channeled into the bottom of the Yakhchal. Those super thick walls we talked about, they acted like a giant heat shield, keeping all the day's warmth out. Then, any warm air still inside would naturally rise up and escape through a hole at the very top of the dome. This created this really clever chimney effect, which would pull in even more of that cool night air from below. And here's the magic part. As the wind blew over the top of the dome, it created something called evaporative cooling. It's the exact same reason you feel chilly when you get out of a swimming pool. All of this worked together to drop the temperature inside below freezing, and by morning, bam, solid ice.
And here's what's truly mind-blowing. This whole process was completely natural, totally passive, and it was so efficient that it could create and store huge blocks of ice all year round, even when it was just scorching hot outside. It's incredible.
So yeah, this wasn't just some neat party trick. This was a technology that had a massive impact on life back then. I mean, think about it. Suddenly having a steady supply of ice, it was a total game changer. It meant you could have cool drinks in the sweltering summer heat. It meant you could make ancient desserts, kind of like an early sorbet. And, probably most importantly, it gave them a way to preserve their food, which was absolutely critical for surviving in such a tough environment.
So here's the main takeaway, the really big idea here. The need for a refrigerator isn't some modern thing, and the solution definitely didn't start with electricity. This is just a perfect example of ancient engineering tackling a really fundamental problem. They had this incredibly sophisticated, practical understanding of physics, of how heat and energy work, long before we were writing it all down in textbooks.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, if they could build giant working refrigerators in the desert 2,000 years ago, what other amazing technologies, what other forgotten knowledge might still be out there, just waiting for us to rediscover it?